there, welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Hope all of your weeks are off to a good start, and all of you had the opportunity to enjoy a great weekend. Coming up here on the program, a lot of Niners news flying in from the NFL owners' meetings, which are taking place this week in Palm Beach. Niners general manager John Lynch just spoke audio only to the media. Kyle Shanahan should be speaking at some point today as well, and we have a lot of big updates to pass along. Before we do that, you know what I need you to do? Go on down, hit that subscribe button. We're just more than 700 people away from 160,000 subscribers right here on the channel. So if you want Niner shows like this every single day that are insightful, informative, thought-provoking, entertaining, where you have a voice, join the faithful movement here at Chat Sports. Lock us in today and subscribe. So let's begin with the latest on these Brock Purdy contract negotiations. A lot of people are arguing back and forth on social media about what exactly John Lynch had to say. And here's what Nick Wagner had tweeted out. And I think it's interesting regardless, because John Lynch, with the way that he phrased it, left the door open for a Purdy contract extension to not get done. And if that happens, it's going to cause a lot of drama. Purdy would have to play on the expiring year of his contract, and then that would set us up for a big offseason next offseason where the Niners would have to make a decision. Do they extend Brock Purdy or do they let him walk in NFL free agency? So Lynch was asked whether it was realistic to expect Purdy to play for $5 million this year if a deal does not get done. Here's what Lynch had to say. And this is the direct quote from him that I'm going to give everybody here because it made some heads turn. Quote, "I think we're going to get a deal done. That's what I believe." He said it's not too optimistic to think a deal with Purdy could be done by the start of offseason programs in a couple of weeks. So all along, I've said I think the Niners and Purdy are going to strike a deal. But there are a couple of things that could hold this up, right? Purdy's agent has been very vocal about Purdy demanding a contract that he feels as though is justified, that Purdy has earned. I imagine Purdy's agent and Purdy want to see him become a top 5, top 10 highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, which is anywhere between $50 and $60 million. I think a lot of people are getting hung up on Lynch not fully committing to a deal getting done by the start of offseason activities in just a couple of weeks. Keep in mind the timeline here. There's a lot to go through as far as average annual value, guaranteed money. There are nuances to these quarterback contracts, especially in the market that we're in right now, where the NFL salary cap is exploding. The quarterback market is very rich. And given the way that the Niners have handled these negotiations, whether you like them or not, they've been very strict. They've been very stringent. They've been battle-tested in these negotiations where they have remained firm on their offers. Now, sometimes they budge off of those offers, but to expect a deal to get done over the next couple of weeks, Lynch basically said, yeah, it might not get done over the next couple of weeks. But he did say he'd love nothing more than for Brock Purdy and that contract to be done ahead of the offseason program, and said Brock wants to be with us. We want Brock to be with us. When that's the case, these things get done. Hopefully it happens really soon this offseason. Lynch then said, I do think a deal will get done. And I think a deal does get done, right? Where are you if you're in quarterback purgatory? Where are you if you're floating in mediocrity in the NFL? Where are you if you don't have a quarterback? And for the Niners, what is the alternative of not having Brock Purdy? What is the alternative of not getting a deal done? You cause a lot of the drama and a lot of the friction that we saw last year with the Brandon Aiyuk contract saga, with the Trent Williams contract situation, with Christian McCaffrey's deal. And the Niners have dealt with these contract extensions every offseason over the last several years. 2021, it was Fred Warner. The year before that, it was George Kittle. 2022, it was Deebo Samuel. 2023, it was Nick Bosa. 2024, it was Brandon Aiyuk. In 2025, it's been the Brock Purdy offseason. And so when you let these things linger, I do believe it affects the on-field product. And I think that we saw that last year where this offense never found a rhythm, never was able to be on the same page. And that's what happens when a quarterback and an offense is without its number one running back, its top left tackle, and its number one wide receiver. And so, again, I think a deal does get done eventually. We just don't know what this timeline is because there's a lot of money at stake. The other notable thing that John Lynch talked about was Brandon Aiyuk. And it is Monday, March 31st. If Brandon Aiyuk is on the Niners roster come tomorrow, April 1st, he is due a $23 million roster bonus this upcoming season and the roster bonus for 2026 of more than $25 million also becomes guaranteed. And when we were at the NFL Combine, that's the last time that John Lynch spoke publicly to the media. I asked him directly about an Aiyuk trade. He did not shoot it down. Well, here's what he said today. He expects Aiyuk to be a part of the team this year. He said he thought there was spillover from last year where teams wanted to try to acquire Aiyuk in a trade, but added, quote, there's no regret about the contract extension. We love Brandon Aiyuk as a football player. We did when we drafted him, and we're excited to move forward with him. This honestly tells me there were no suitors for Brandon Aiyuk. And if the Niners could have traded him, I think they would have. But at that price tag, being owed the money that he's owed, coming off the injury that he suffered last year, I don't think there was a team out there that wanted and was willing to give up draft capital to acquire Brandon Aiyuk with the severity of that knee injury, knowing he might not come back until the midway portion of the 2025 season at $30+ million per year, and they were in their firm desires and beliefs going to trade for Aiyuk. It's just way too risky of a proposition. And so I think the Niners would have traded Aiyuk away if they would have gotten a really good offer. That offer never came, and here we are on the eve of April 1st, and if he's on the team come the start of the new month, Aiyuk's going to be on this team in 2025. It makes no financial sense. And an offseason in which the Niners have tried to shed salary, they've been successful in doing so, that they would trade Aiyuk after April 1 after giving him guaranteed dollars of $23+ million for this year and more than $25 million in 2026. There was that report from Adam Schefter on Friday that we talked about, that Aiyuk might not be ready until the middle of next year. So that gives the Niners a lot of wide receiver questions going into this upcoming season. Ricky Pearsall becomes the number one wideout. Jawan Jennings the number two. Demarcus Robinson, free agency acquisition, becomes the number three. And then at that wide receiver 4 spot, Jacob Cowing and maybe Tariq Owens gets into the mix. The Niners are said to be very high on him. As for the Niners offseason plan, a question I proposed, are the Niners getting cheap? They're not making decisions like a well-run organization. Is Jed York trying to cut costs? Here's what John Lynch had to say about that. We've been a top 5 spending team. Our ownership has been tremendous. They've given us every resource that we need, and that's not stopping. We're going to continue to be aggressive. At the end of this offseason, I would surmise that we're going to be a top 5 spending team again. And they would become a top 5 spending team again if they give Brock Purdy a contract extension. If you're a Niner fan, you want this to continue to be the case. The best businesses in the world, the best sports organizations are ones that are aggressive. Organizations that are poorly run in the NFL, like the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns, others, they try to get cheap. They try to cut corners. The New York Jets, another one of them, and that results in bad football operations and bad football teams. And so I can see where the Niners are coming from, where they want to eat all this dead money this year, free up the books for next year, give themselves some financial flexibility, let players walk who the Niners didn't want to retain, who were older and injury prone. I get it. What they can't do is be cheap year after year after year and expect to win big, because it doesn't work in corporate life. It doesn't work in professional sports. What the Niners are going to do, rebuild through the draft, and that puts a lot of pressure on San Francisco after the 6-11 season to hit on the draft in 2025, hit on the draft in 2026. Because if they do, this team will continue to replenish the cupboard as far as talent goes, and they'll continue to stay relevant, and they can reload and continue to be Super Bowl contenders. If they miss the next two drafts, it's going to set this organization back, because missing with premium draft picks over the last few years, Trey Lance trade, Drake Jackson, third-round misses. It's put the Niners in this spot where they don't have enough depth, they don't have enough talent, and they've become an older and very expensive roster. Lynch saying we are 6-11. No matter how we got there, that's embarrassing. I don't ever want to be 6-11 again. The draft is an important part of fixing that. One last note, Niners Broncos working on holding a joint practice this summer, according to Matt Barrow. So the Niners are going to be going up against Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, and DJ Jones, all former Niners who are really good players for this organization. They'll go up against them in practice, and I imagine Hufanga and Greenlaw are going to be flying around looking to show the Niners that they should have kept them and paid them. Niners draft hats are available, by the way, at chatsports.com/49 draft hats. You have this type of style here in black and white/vanilla. Also the dad hat style too. You can get snapback, you can get fitted. I love the design for this year's draft hats. I think they are absolutely awesome. Get yours today, chatsports.com/49 draft hats. These are the hats that the number 11 overall pick will be wearing for the San Francisco 49ers. We'll put that link down below in the description and attached to the pinned comment of today's show. I'll be back with another edition of the Niners Report a little bit later. That's why you subscribe, because we're always grinding.